Hello, everybody. It's Toby, and I am really excited here today because I have a guest with me, and I wanted to have a little candid conversation with Miss Abby Sanchez, who is the chairman of the board for Seminole County Schools. And with many of you, I know working in Central Florida and many working specifically in Seminole County, we've been talking this morning about some topics that I know are going to be very relevant, very near and dear to all of you, but especially people that are selling real estate in Seminole County. I think these topics are really top of mind because one of the main reasons that people move to Seminole County is for the awesome school system. I mean, I was a product of Seminole County schools myself, and I know when my parents moved down here in the late 80s, even then, that was something that was really talked about and well known all around, the state, that Seminole County schools are really great. So you're going to, if you haven't already seen the signs and seen Abby's name around, you certainly will now. Hopefully, it'll remind you to take a look. You are going to see her name on the ballot here coming up at election time. And so there again, wanted to kind of share some of the things that Abby's been working on for the last 8 years, is working on currently, and also has some great plans for the next 4 years. So we want to make sure that we elect her in so that she can finish all these wonderful things that she's working on. So with that, welcome.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me.
Okay.
I appreciate it. It's always great seeing you.
Yes,
so
thank you. Yeah, we go.
I am, yes, quite some time back, and I'm super excited that you're allowing me to have this time to talk about our fabulous school system and all the wonderful things that are happening in Seminole County and in our neighboring counties as well. Because like I said, I'm not just doing things for my county, but I do things for other counties as well. And I currently, at Abby Sanchez, I'm the chair of the school board. Just like Toby had said, I am super proud of being the chair of the school board. I am currently in my 36th year in education.
Wow.
Yes, crazy. 26 years of those happen to be a classroom teacher.
I was going to say, so you've taught,
So,
yes. You were a teacher. Yep.
And I was the first teacher on the school board back in 2016.
Great.
And I ran on the fact that we needed a teacher on our school board, and everybody thought everybody happened to be teachers. And I said, yes, exactly. And that wasn't the case. So I was the voice for teachers. And it has been a wonderful ride and challenging at times, especially during COVID and switching platforms to virtual platform, to making sure that every child had the services that they so desirably needed. And like I said before, we are an A-rated district, and you had even stated so many companies, so many families move here to Seminole County because our schools are so great. And it's, I want to make sure everybody understands why it's so great to move here, buy a house in our county, and have that opportunity to attend one of our phenomenal schools.
That's right.
And we happen to be an A-rated school district. 24 out of the 25 times we've been rated, we have been an A-rated school district. Wow. And the grading system is a little different to understand, but we always are in competition with smaller counties rather than larger counties. But we tend to be, we're number one in Central Florida school districts, no matter what, compared to all the other neighboring counties. We're number one in STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Our arts programs, we have over 35% of our students that are in some form of the arts, which is phenomenal.
That is great. And
we are just so blessed because we have so many diverse opportunities for our students to learn.
So I had no idea. So one of the reasons I was excited to have this conversation and share with all of you, and I do not have children myself, so full disclosure. However, I would bet that even if you have children, and even if they're enrolled in Seminole County schools, I would venture to say that a lot of you have no idea all of the different programs that are available, many that you are instrumental in implementing and making happen, right, for this Seminole County. I mean, it's really impressive. We'll touch on a few. We could go for hours, literally, and talk about all the different programs. I mean, there's just so many things. But what are some things? I know it's a general, broad question, but what are some things that kind of come to mind, or that you think maybe they're not aware?
In that guide that you happen to have right there, we actually have a QR code that will share to it later, so you can get to it. And actually, the open enrollment starts October 1st. But clearly you can see that we have it broken down into what's your E, and it's a choices program where you can go to whatever school you want, or it's a lottery based based on, you know, if you can get into that program or not. And most of the time, we're able to match the school of your choice of what you would like to do.
Okay.
So for example, if you want to, what's your E? That stands for employment, enlistment, or education.
Okay.
So if you want to go on to college and possibly go into our pre-IB veterinarian program or our law and justice
I would have
program.
loved that when I was in school.
Isn't that neat? Or engineering program to be an engineer, or if you want to become somebody like aviation mechanics.
Yeah.
We have our own helicopter, our own plane at Seminole High School.
Crazy.
And the partnerships that we have and that we built within the community have been absolutely amazing because they help us and we help them back.
Yeah.
Lyman High School has HVAC plumbing program and welding.
And those jobs are so needed. I mean, they're
exactly.
And, you know, I always am hearing about the shortage of people that they need more, you know, people, they're tradesmen and people that are going into.
Exactly. And so you used to hear the word vocational or programs, but now it's called career technical programs. So when you hear that, we have over 53 programs. And, you know, you can do interior design. You can go into the Academy of Health Careers. We have our own nursing program that we just modernized the facility at Seminole High School. And it looks like a real hospital. And our partners did an amazing job. And I would love to share that later on with you because there's so many things that we do in our
these
county.
Are programs that are open. Sorry, not to bury the lead here, but that's, I mean, 100%. I had no idea. And
our magnet programs, you get transportation to those. So if you lived on one side of town and you wanted to happen to go to, you know, the engineering program at Lyman, or you wanted to do the AI program at Lake Howell, or you wanted to go to Seminole High School to, you know, for a health academy, we would be able to take you, the bus system would take you to that location. Now the programs of emphasis, like the Academy of Finance, where we have banks on campuses and our students, where all three of my students, my own children, were able to run the credit union. Addition Financial is one of our business partners, and they are actual bank tellers. And one gets to be picked as a loan officer. And actually, they were trained just around the corner from here, which is really neat. And that's part of the program that they do. And we have multiple schools that are doing that now. So financial literacy is extremely important, but they are actually the ones that are the people on the front line working the banks. And then therefore two of my kids went into finance in college. So, but we have so many diverse programs that would basically be for anybody, even our public service academy, with dispatch, the 911 dispatching units and things like that, that you wouldn't think. But what we did is surveyed the children to see what they wanted to do. Because everybody has a different path. And we want to make sure that college isn't the end all for anybody anymore. And instead of saying to someone, where are you going to college? We say, what do you want to do?
That's right. Like you said, there's different paths to get there, right?
Exactly. And it's true. These fields that you were talking about, we desperately need people on them. And so it's a critical field that if we have aviation mechanics or automotive mechanics, that not just a regular automotive class like we did when we were back in high school, but a lot more in depth, that they have these opportunities, HVAC, plumbing, welding, that they can go into those fields, be industry certified, and then right away,
that's awesome.
They go straight into the field. They even get their internships early on. We're at our career technical field interview process. And they get hired or even possibly intern during the summer. And then they go straight in there right after they graduate high school.
That's fantastic.
So it keeps the students engaged. And they love learning. And they still get their core classes, but they get something added to that rather than have to be pulled out like some other counties possibly have just a unit separate from inside the school system.
That's great. And, you know, I know in real estate, you're trying to give as much value as you possibly can to your clients. If someone's considering moving into Seminole County, like Abby said, we'll make sure we give you the QR code, but I'm thinking this information for someone who has a family or is going to have a family, this would be something that would be really important to them to make the decision to want to be in a county where they have someone, you know, with all these programs and have someone like Abby as a leader representing them and really looking out for the families and the kids. So
thank you. And that's why it's critical to keep me in this position. Somebody that has those connections. and my opponent's wonderful.
Yeah.
But I think she has a lot to learn still. She's only been to a handful board
Yeah.
meetings, but
Yeah.
never really has been engaged into our school systems. And I think it's extremely important. Get your feet wet, hit the ground running
Yeah.
first, learn everything
Yes.
about our schools beforehand. And I've done that for, gosh, actually since middle school.
Yeah.
I actually served once I was in high school in South Florida. I was a student representative on the school
Okay.
board.
There you go.
So I think it's extremely critical to be involved and engaged as much as possible beforehand. But you were talking about the little ones.
Mhm.
And on that, we're one of the few counties that has made it a priority to keep the Great Start program going. And in this school resource guide, which is going to become somebody's favorite
Yep.
book.
Marketing tool or tool.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you can have copies. Just let me know if you need them.
Yeah.
And you can share my
Great.
number with
Okay.
everybody. My phone number is available for everyone online as well. But we have our Great Start and VPK program, but the Great Start program is not just for underserved areas, it's for anybody. It's almost like a mommy and me.
I think that's a huge takeaway. I'm telling you.
Yes.
For me, maybe I'm wrong, but I think
You
that
are-
a lot of people probably
yes.
don't know that.
Well, and a lot of people have no idea
Yeah.
that we offer that. They thought, and originally it was, a lot of people thought it was just for underserved areas. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's
Yeah,
for everybody.
everybody.
And you can live anywhere throughout the county and possibly go to the story time at the different local
Yeah,
libraries
okay.
or Barnes and
Wow.
Noble
Wow.
or wherever,
Yeah.
or you can have your child in one of the Great Start programs. So
Okay.
this is from birth until the age of 3.
Wow.
And there is no other county in Central Florida that
Yeah,
has this.
something like that.
And we've
That's
made it a
awesome.
priority.
That's
I've made
awesome.
it a priority to make sure that we've kept this in place
Yeah.
because early literacy is so critical.
Yeah.
And when parents see other students,
Mhm.
or parents are watching other children interacting
Yeah.
with their parents or their moms and dads or guardians, the same thing. They're engaged, they're learning from each
Yeah,
other, and
yeah.
they're learning those social skills
Social
that are
skills.
so
We need more
critical.
now than ever, right? Yeah,
Right,
for
and I
sure.
always tell everybody, you have to learn something or see something and say something 144 times before it can stick in your brain and store in your long-term
Wow.
memory bank.
Yeah.
And that's basically like anything. I always say, you can learn any trick or trade, but if you don't have good people skills, you're not going to make it
That's
in
right.
anything.
And to that point, I wanted to add or put a little extra point on what you said about being in the position for the 8 years that you have been. I can only imagine how many relationships that you need to develop and build, how many things there are to know. I've sat on many boards in a much smaller capacity, certainly, and it takes a long time just to understand the who's who and how things get moved through. And you can have all the great ideas in the world, but to get them actually, people to buy into them, and you have to be a great communicator. So I think it makes a lot of sense to keep you in that position for sure. And on that note, when you're voting, there again, I always will be the first one to fall on the sword. I did not know how this worked when it came to voting. When you go in to actually place your vote, she's in one particular district, right? You're going to show up on the ballot
Yes.
as District 3, okay? But in Seminole County specifically, anybody in the county, is that right?
Correct.
Can vote and encouraged to vote for you in that district, but even if
It's a
you're not.
nonpartisan race. I'm on
Okay.
every ballot throughout the
Okay, that's
county.
important.
And the reason why I have a runoff, and this is confusing because I've had a lot of people say, congratulations, I'm so excited you won. Well, I didn't quite get my 50% plus 1. And when you
Okay.
have 2 people running against you in a 3-person race, you have to get the 50% plus 1. And if you
Okay.
don't, then you have to have the runoff.
Mm.
So in the primary election, which happened to be August 20th, we only had 16.9% of people that voted.
Wow.
That's the lowest turnout we've
That's
ever had.
so surprising to
And
me.
throughout the whole state of Florida, they had extremely low turnout
Wow.
in voting.
Yeah.
So I will be on the November 5th ballot, which is a general election.
Yep.
And I will be on everybody's ballot, no matter if they're registered nonpartisan, independent,
Okay.
if they are a registered Republican, Democrat,
Yeah.
or an independent.
And you represent, I know,
Everybody.
personally, everybody. We were
Correct.
talking before we went live here, and like you said, you're helping serve all these families, all these children.
And I try to reach out to as many schools as I can
Yeah.
get to. But we have a lot of schools. And so each district has a district school board member that visits those schools. And then when we're invited to all programs for everybody, we try to go and be a part of those schools as much as possible.
That's good.
But my district, District 3, it's very misleading, and it's the same thing for county commissioners.
Mm. Yeah, I had no
They
idea.
have, yes, and in Seminole County, it's different than in Orange County. So, and in other neighboring counties, so you're district wide and you run throughout the whole district. So it's critical that everybody votes and keep somebody that understands what's going on in education, because it's all about building those connections, like you were stating. You know, all the different committees and boards that I've served on for so many years, and all the charitable work that I've given to help others and learn about and engaged with those different individual charities is critical.
And partnerships with all these organizations that you mentioned are doing these things. That's got
and
that's big.
Tallahassee law.
Yeah.
This job requires a full-time job
No
commitment
kidding.
to me. This is, you know,
like 3 jobs probably.
well, it is. And I take the phone and I answer it 24/7. I give my number to everybody. I've taught thousands of kids, and I think it's important that we make sure that we keep somebody that's connected, that understands the process, that can reach out to Tallahassee and can speak on behalf of us. I think that if you start, and I know if you, even for me, I learn something new every day. The policies and procedures sometimes change, and sometimes we get blamed for everything because that's what happens. They're like, oh, the board decided that. I'm like, that's not the case. And you can't
please everybody all of the time either, no matter how great you are about trying to make everybody happy. Right?
And then you're told the state makes it.
That's right.
The decision, not you. And so honestly, you know, it's like drinking out of a fire hose for somebody that's brand new into this, especially if they don't know the ins and outs of what money can be utilized for what.
And going and
exactly.
Continue on.
Everybody, you know, especially with things that have been happening recently. Sadly, you know, with weapons and different things like that. A lot of people don't realize that we have had to do X, Y, and Z things by August 1st that were requested by the state. And they were state mandated, but they were unfunded. Therefore, we had to fund all these things, changing the key fobs on every door in the schools with their getting new IDs for every student with the key fob on the back of the card. And there are updating a lot of equipments that we need to do that have not been done. For example, the cameras on the school grounds. But we have a great partnership with the sheriff. And I know that, you know, other counties have different things that they can do, and they do, but we implemented our program, and I've been blessed to be endorsed by the sheriff as well as the constitutional officers.
Abby's been endorsed by like everybody pretty much. So
yes,
humble, but
thank you. But it's been, I love our partnership with the sheriff because we've had an opportunity to have police officers in every school. Now, do we have room for improvement? Of course we do. Do we listen to everyone that's speaking? Yes. Can we, I can't honestly release everything that we're getting ready to do. But I know that a lot of parents have concerns, and I think we need to be transparent and we need to communicate with them as much as possible.
The day and age we live in, unfortunately.
Sadly, it is. And I know that neighboring counties have tried different things as well, but we have a great partnership. So for example, our police officers, our sheriff will pay half the salaries and we pay the other half. So we have 2 police officers in every high school, 1 in every middle and 1 in every elementary school, full time. Then we have a dog. His name is Dragus, and he is a canine weapon trained dog with his handler. I would love to see every municipality, which is 7 cities in Seminole County, have a dog. And of course, the training for these dogs is over $100,000. So I would like to see that. There's so many things that I would like to see, but of course, funding is desperately needed.
Speaking of that, are there ways organizations, businesses can get involved? Like you have some of these great partnerships. I'm thinking both for, you know, partnerships, right, to help with some of the programs, but also maybe fundraising or financial efforts. Because that seems
there is. And honestly, we are blessed because we do have so many great partners. But we can never have too many partners. And it's critical. For example, the foundation is one of them, Seminole County Foundation. And we have for example, you can see like Addition Financial is one of the sponsors for this. And we have numerous ones that help us fund different programs like the Night of Impact. And this is for our arts program. And the foundation has raised over $60 million to support education. And that's the Seminole Foundation. So 90% of those funds go directly back into programs in Seminole County schools. And the support from local businesses and individuals help us raise money for the continued support for our schools. And if
Yeah.
we don't have that, our districts may not have all those unique programs like the physics buses.
Yeah.
The only ones in the world that have a fleet of buses, something I'm proud to be a
Yes.
part of,
Yeah.
where we bring science mobile labs to
How
our
cool.
schools.
Yeah, she was showing me a picture
That
of the
look
actual
like,
bus.
this is actually
Yeah.
the Student Success Express bus,
cool.
but this one is a different one.
Yeah,
But we have a fleet of
okay.
physics buses.
Oh,
as
no
well,
kidding. Oh, gosh.
That
There's so
the bus
much.
driver is the teacher, and the students
That's
in
cool.
4th and 5th grade go onto the bus with hands-on activity with electricity, magnetism,
I bet the
optics,
kids
you
love it.
name it. They love it.
Yeah.
It's all about wrapping around services for all students and
Right.
being able to allow kids to have as many hands-on activities as possible,
Yeah.
because the state has given us more testing rather than less assessments.
Mhm.
And that is something that luckily, because I am a veteran teacher and have
Yeah,
that
you know,
experience,
right?
it's critical
Yeah.
that when I speak up in Tallahassee, that they understand that there are so many things that I can speak on behalf of and
Yeah.
not just focus on one area. You can even become part of our dividend programs that we have, and literally we'll share links later
Yeah, I'll
on.
get you,
I'll
yeah.
let you hold that right there if you want
Okay,
to.
yeah.
But that is basically.
Oh, yeah, so volunteers.
Right.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
And,
Yeah,
and
that's
that has a QR code on it as well. You can mentor children, with our Take Stock in
That's
Children program,
awesome.
where they get a 2-year scholarship to, college.
Wow.
And that program is amazing. So there's so many different programs that we have through the foundation. We also have, like in this flyer right here, you can stay connected with the foundation and get involved. And
Wow.
like I said, all that money goes right back into our schools. We even have a store for teachers alone.
Oh,
It's
nice.
called Tools for Schools, and
Oh,
it's
nice.
in Sanford, and they get to go and get supplies, and
Supplies.
businesses donate.
Wow.
Joann's and Michael's,
Yeah.
and a
That's
ton
great.
of our
That's
churches
very cool.
are so involved, and they raise funds, or they buy backpacks and any kind of supplies that the students may need,
Wow.
and teachers,
Yeah,
even things for the bulletin boards. And the
That's
teachers
great.
get to go in there free and get whatever they
it
need.
makes me think of the saying, like, it takes a village, you know,
It sure
to like
does.
make sure that you're raising the children and bringing them up. But you also, with that statement along comes that you need leadership, right? You have to have someone that's leading the charge, because there again, you can have a lot of people that are passionate and have all the great intention and want good things, but it takes leadership truly to get things pushed across and to get things implemented and done. So
That's
enter,
so
yeah.
critical. And with the foundation, with the money that they raise from business partners,
Yeah.
they do what, and I served on this committee, it's called the Great Grants for Great Ideas.
Mm.
And teachers write grants
Yep.
for, let's say they want to do a science activity in their classroom, and they need science supplies for that STEM project that they're working on. They will write a grant
For that specific.
for that specific
I love
thing.
that.
And
That's
then
great.
I served on that committee through the foundation, and you read all the different requests that many of the teachers have, and we give them funds to
That's
help
great.
them with whatever extra support that they want.
I
So
love
they have
that.
those hands-on activities in
Yeah.
the classroom, and it's critical, because, you know, we need to make sure that we have that creativity
Mhm.
and that we have those opportunities. But we also have opportunities, and something that's very passionate for me is mental wellness.
Mm.
The mental wellness, not just for
Yeah.
our students, but for our faculty and
Mhm.
staff.
Sure.
And so we have our own mental health facility on one of our bus
Oh,
depots.
no kidding.
So they can actually work out,
Yeah, that's great.
and they can also receive
'Cause
free
they're the
mental
ones
health counselors.
interacting with the kids. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
And
Makes
we have a
sense.
nurse practitioner there as well.
Nice, nice.
So they actually can go there, and that's something that we implemented a few years ago. It's been extremely successful. They can also receive mental health support for any of their loved ones
That's great.
and their family, even if their child or their family member may not be with us on their insurance.
Mm.
So that's critical.
Wow, yeah.
And then I serve on a couple different mental wellness boards, and those boards reaching out to community members that have been able to donate funds for us. And I'm sure some of you have probably seen it on the news recently.
Mhm.
We were able to get 2 more social workers to
Great.
our
Yeah.
schools. But every high school now has mental health support in place. It may be a program after school, maybe
Wow.
during school hours. And for example, the Ram Room,
Mhm.
which is at Lake Mary
Like,
High School,
yeah.
they have their own podcast.
Oh, that's great.
And actually their teacher starts on Monday, And everybody, we all donated furniture to make this lounge really nice
Cool.
and
That's great.
welcoming, a safe room for
Yes.
people so they can come and talk to. And like I said, mental health is critical for everybody because you can't learn if you're not mentally.
That's right.
And that if you're having anxiety or anything like that. And that's why it's important with everything that's been going on. And we sadly have seen,
Sure. Just
threats
today,
that have happened
yeah,
and
yeah.
throughout everywhere. And we just want to keep you up on
Yeah.
the fact that we're doing what we can.
Absolutely.
Do we need to improve? Of course we do.
Mhm.
Are there things that we want to implement? Yes.
Yeah.
But like Toby said, it takes a village and helping each other work and navigate through these challenging times together. But we have an app as well.
Mm.
And that app is the Speak Out Hotline, the P3 app. You can go on that app and it's free. It's downloaded. You just go right into
Okay,
this app
that's important.
and you can basically submit your tip, just like that.
Like a crime line.
Yes,
type
it's
thing.
like a crime line.
Okay, yeah.
And I also shared it on my social
That's
media
important.
platform
Yeah,
too. And
it's important.
it's extremely important
Mhm.
because we want to make sure everybody is well aware of that it's anonymous and
It
that
is.
it could be something related to bullying.
Yeah.
It could be somebody that possibly
Yeah.
may be suicidal.
Yeah.
Maybe a loved one in their family isn't just
Yeah,
lost a
whatever.
job
Yeah.
and is feeling,
Under
sad.
fire. Yeah.
Exactly. Or
Yeah.
a homeless family.
Yeah.
It's extremely important that, if we don't communicate and know, we can't help those families.
Well, and on that, and I know, we wanted to share this information just as they're gonna, a reminder or letting you know about some things you might not have known about. But if we're thinking too about in real estate, Abby, as you know, one of the things that real estate professionals like to do is to continue to stay in touch with their contacts, maybe it's past clients or prospective future clients. And so we're always looking for ways to bring value to them and to share things. So, I mean, any one of the 100 things that you have to share about Seminole County school systems, like I'm thinking about that tip line, is something that you could go on, get the QR code, share that in your monthly newsletter, or reach out to your families that have bought in the past year in Seminole County. And you're like, hey, I didn't know if you're aware. I just learned from, hearing Abby Sanchez talk. And then you could share that because you can have all these great programs. But we were talking a little bit ago and it's like, the biggest thing, I can't imagine how Abby gets this done is to just communicate all the wonderful things that are out there, right? Because it's so much. So you guys can help us in that regard.
And that would be extremely
getting the
helpful.
word
I
out.
mean, and when you're showing your home, showing a home,
That's right.
put these
Great
flyers
idea.
out with
Great
points
idea.
of pride and have these on
idea.
the counter in the kitchen
Yep.
where
I
you
love that
leave
idea.
your business card.
Yep.
So other families can see this
Yeah.
and they understand why
It's a value.
It's
a
huge.
value. I mean,
And
that's,
I
yeah,
don't
good
mind
deal.
getting anybody that wants a resource guide,
Okay, well,
a copy of this, or give you the
and
link.
they're
for a
beautiful
QR
materials, all of them, by
Exactly.
the way. They're
Or if
great.
you want to get the QR code
Yeah.
and share it through the newsletter,
I love it.
it's super simple. I can share the link
it.
with you later. It also has our student calendar in here.
Great.
It actually has the points of pride in there. So, and then it shares with
I
you
love it.
all the phenomenal programs that we have that we offer through our 37 elementary schools, and we have the
Awesome.
Leadership in Me, when we start entrepreneurship at a young age.
Love it.
And it's amazing. We have our, like for
I wish
example.
I had some kids in school like that. I'd have to have the kids first.
Really
to have
neat.
them in
But
school,
for example, the fact that like for Goldsboro Elementary School, they're one of our magnet schools, and they have the real world experiences, and we partner with NASA,
That's
and
super
it
cool.
is so cool. And we have a kids space center, and anytime anybody wants to see any of these wonderful opportunities, we have recently in the past few years, it was
Okay.
something that after doing leadership Seminole for me, it was something that we were talking about in our open board discussion. I'm like, we need to start a program within our own schools, an ambassador program. Let
Yes.
everybody see all the wonderful things that we have through our
So they
schools.
can actually come tour it or set up a way to
Right.
come see it.
And
That
so-
would be a cool thing to do too, by the
Exactly.
way, with people that
It
maybe
would.
your
Yes.
connections. Yeah.
And so we have a program now, and they visit different parts of our school
Love that.
system.
Love that.
And they may take a trip to our Red Apple Dining, which is our food service.
Okay.
Now, cafeteria, we don't call it cafeterias anymore,
really?
just so you know.
Okay.
It's now called Red Apple Dining.
Red Apple
Because
Dining.
our
All
they're restaurants, and you
Okay.
basically want to stay on campus. All the food is completely fresh.
Okay.
And
Oh, that's cool.
yes,
That's
and
amazing.
it's like a food court.
Yeah,
You
okay,
have high tops.
okay,
And we can always add,
Oh.
add some beautiful images into this. We have
Yes.
filtered coffee.
okay.
We have Oriental, Asian food. We have Italian food. It looks just like a food court, but it's inside the.
Nice. Well, I knew there was a reason everybody talked so well, highly about Seminole County schools. Now I know why. I'm getting the insides.
And we're trying to keep the food prices down, which is really important.
That's hard, but
But no growth hormones into the food,
Wow.
all fresh meat.
I love it.
But there's something for everybody, even sit down booths that they
Yeah.
can eat in. To an area, a network area where they can just work on they can eat while they're
Wow.
hooked up to Wi-Fi and on their laptop. So there's a little section in there as well. So every time we add a new Red Apple Dining or update it,
Uh-huh.
we're adding some extra features to different ones because we're seeing some other things that the kids want. So listening to the students is extremely important. And that is a critical piece, and making sure that we hear their voices,
Yes.
but hear the teachers' voices. And honestly, and everybody that speaks to me, and many teachers that reach out to me or administrators, they know that I'll keep things confidential and I won't say where it came from.
Yeah.
But
You
in
wanna
any
hear.
aspect, you want to know what their concerns are, what their stress level is. And honestly, sadly, people don't want to go into education these days because of the stress that's in
That's
that
right. Which
they
is
have
a
in
shame.
many hats,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
the fact that we're number 50 in the nation right now on salaries.
Yeah.
That means the state of Florida is number 50 in the most, it pays their teachers the least amount of money out of all states.
Yeah.
But we're number one now in the most expensive places to live.
Yeah, so there's.
Right,
yeah,
and
quite
so
a
I'm working on
disparity.
something throughout the whole entire state, a bipartisan bill, where we can help that. And that would, since we're the capital of tourism,
Mhm.
if we add an extra penny to alcohol, tobacco, and I want to add vaping products because I'm the one that initiated the vaping lawsuit throughout the United States, the class action lawsuit. And we won over $2.4 million just
Wow.
our county alone
Wow.
to educate our youth about vaping
Mhm.
and the dangers of it. We can take that extra penny and
Increase all those.
right, and we would go
salaries.
from number 50 in the nation
That's
to the top 8 in the nation on salaries. Now, this is something that's statewide. So I have legislators throughout the state that are helping me draft up this bill.
Yeah.
And this bill then would go into committee, into Tallahassee. It's bipartisan, so we have Democrats, Republicans, and MPAs all
So
working on it together.
this is a big project she's talking about. It's awesome, but it's big. Yeah.
But it's
It
huge.
takes a big,
Yeah, exactly. But it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah.
So since we have so many tourists that come here too,
Yes.
an extra penny on those products is nothing.
Yeah.
But to bring our salaries,
Salaries.
anybody
Yeah,
that's in
that's huge.
education, not just teachers,
Yeah.
but a bus driver, a paraprofessional, a teacher's aid, custodian,
Yeah.
you name it, secretary, anybody in education would receive a massive raise on top of anybody that's a first responder, police officers, firefighters.
Okay. So think of that when that comes down the line, because I'm sure it'll be voted on at some point with that tax. So we could talk for all day about this. We'll stop. Here's what I would like to say though. Any information that we've just touched on, right? Super high level just here today. And you want to get more information, we'll make sure that we put a way to contact Abby. She's very open, and you can send her an email, I'm sure, with your thoughts or questions or ideas or call. But I want to say personally, as someone who's sitting here with Abby and has had the pleasure of knowing her, and hopefully you can even tell just even on a video that she's uber passionate about her role. She does this because she wants to make a difference, right? And I don't think there's anybody that could be better in this position that was a teacher for so many years and that had raised 3 children, and I mean with all the qualities that she has as a strong leader and all the relationships that she's built. I think I just don't think you can have anybody better in that role. So I think it's really important that that we all get out there and vote and make sure you vote.
And the fact that I've served on so many committees and charitable organizations throughout this county and continue to Seminole Cultural Arts Council. I serve on the Zoo Board of Trustees for Central Florida Zoo. I serve on the Wayne Dent, the Ritz Theater Education Board. I can go on and on. The Central Florida School Board Coalition Chair. There are numerous committees that, and I show up. I don't just say I'm
Yeah.
gonna do something, and if Unity Youth Association or anybody in any vibrant families, they need donation items, I get them for them, and I do whatever I can to help. People say this is not a full-time job, but for me
Oh my
it is.
gosh,
And
yeah,
I spend 3 times more than I make, and I
Yeah.
think a lot of people don't realize, they think that we make a lot of money. Well, I make less than a beginning teacher.
Yeah.
And I spend probably 3 times more than I make. This is a full-time commitment, and this requires full-time.
Yeah.
And I know that my opponent said she wasn't gonna be able to do that. And she's a super wonderful lady, but it's something that needs
It
a
just takes the
full
time. Yeah,
time to be
yeah,
there. And
that's
I
right.
also have on the back of my palm cards, we'll share that too with you, or the rack cards, or whatever you want to
Yeah.
call them. My website,
Okay.
it's Abby Sanchez with the number 4kids.com.
Love it.
It's super easy to remember.
Yeah,
Exactly. My website is Vote Abby Sanchez, super simple.
perfect.
And I have I have ads in everywhere. You'll see, some of you may have seen some of my billboards up, the digital
great.
one at IOA.
Oh, great.
That one's been up since, gosh, I believe June.
Wow.
And it's still there,
Wow,
but
good.
reach out to me, my cell number 407-497-0226, and I can't thank you enough.
Oh, thank you.
Toby.
No, thank you for giving
And
me the time,
everyone-
as busy as you are. So we're excited that we were able to get together and have this little chat. So
Thank you
yeah,
so
make sure you guys see the sign, see the name, and make sure you get out and vote in November. All right. Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Hang on.
Can I
Bye.
add
Bye.
one little quick video on.
Yeah, we
for
can do all
you
of
can
them.
do- We'll do for